At the end of episode 316, The Southern Raiders, Katara finally forgives Zuko. She is the last member of Team Avatar to do so. Toph had been willing to forgive him from the beginning, not in small part because she had a very profound and unexpected conversation with Uncle Iroh in the middle of episode 208, The Chase. Aang and Sokka are more resistant, but they are eventually willing to let bygones be bygones, especially after Zuko proves himself. But Katara is different. And Zuko confronts her about this. Why should she not accept him, even after he has proven again and again that he is on the side of the good and the right now? Katara, eyes intense and flaming, correctly states that she was the first one to trust him, and the reward for that was a knife in her back. That defines their relationship during what fans have termed the Zuko field trip arc. It isn't just that there is a vast difference between the closeness that exists between Zuko and Katara at the end of Season 2 and the bitterness that Katara feels toward Zuko in Season 3. It's that the iciness she felt toward him is amplified specifically because there was such closeness between them at the end of Season 2. If that moment and the very personal betrayal that occurred after it hadn't happened, then she would have been willing to forgive him before Sokka did. This also would have made for a far less interesting character dynamic. It would have been that they care about each other, like each other, have a few things in common, but don't really have a close connection, kind of like the relationship that exists between Zuko and Sokka. They care about each other, they empathize, they share some pains and sorrows, but they don't truly know each other on a profound and intimate level, so they can't really connect. Why Katara forgives Zuko is a mirror image of why she refuses to forgive him originally. It's that very personal and intimate closeness between them. She feels that Zuko betrayed that early on, but later he eventually honors it, and she really respects that. As soon as they get to talking in episode 220, Katara is astonished not only because Zuko is far from the one-dimensional villain she believed he was, but also because the similarities between the two of them are evident. They're able to understand each other. What makes Katara able to abandon her prejudices against Zuko is the revelation that Zuko's mother was taken away from him by the Fire Lord, just like her mother was. But whereas a lesser show would have presented this as the crux of their connection, Avatar digs deeper. That is just the initial basis of their connection. It's the conduit. It's that losing their mothers made them afraid of loss. Unable to shake the burden of grief as easily as those around them, and desperate to prove themselves, Katara recognizes, with growing astonishment, that they have this natural and undeniable connection, like they're two halves of the same person. This is not necessarily positive, as demonstrated when he betrays her, but it is powerful. Think of the relationship that exists between Kylo Ren and Rey in The Last Jedi. The execution is not the same, as the Kylo Ren and Rey dynamic is not presented as positively, but the two connections are not dissimilar. Though the connection is not explicitly romantic, it's not explicitly unromantic either. There's a mix of wonder and danger that's both uncomfortable and intriguing, as well as at least vaguely erotic. In both instances, both partners are lonely, starved for a connection they know they've found, but they are afraid to act on that connection because they know it's not safe and they know there's a chance it could backfire on them. and they know it could destabilize their perspectives on themselves and the world around them. Zuko proves himself able to understand not only what she is going through, but how it affects her and what she needs. Before this moment, Katara does not realize she needs someone like this. Unlike Rey in The Last Jedi, she's not searching for her place in the world. She's too busy taking care of the other members of Team Avatar and helping them survive to really contemplate what's best for her. But the more they interact, the more she realizes that Zuko can understand the darkness swirling through her in a way that the rest of Team Avatar just can't. When Zuko betrays her, the absence hurts far more because of the presence of what used to be there. Think of it like this: you probably aren't furious that you don't have $1 million worth of gold. That would be nice, but you don't expect it to happen. However, if someone gave you $1 million of gold and then took it away from you, then that would be enough to throw you into emotional turmoil. After a harrowing episode in which she learns how to bloodbend and thus grows to fear the darkness within herself, she confronts Zuko again. If we view Zuko as Katara's other half in a spiritual and philosophical sense, then it makes a lot of sense that Katara would be so skeptical toward him. Not only because he betrayed her, but also because she is increasingly suspicious of her own dark side. If she had not trusted Zuko, it's possible that Ba Sing Se would not have fallen, and Aang would not have been killed. However you feel about Katara and Aang as a romantic couple, it's evident that Katara cares deeply about him and is very protective of him and blames herself for what happened at least as much as Aang does. Though, unlike Aang, she does not focus on her own angst because she has the others to worry about. Because of this concern about her dark side, it's fitting that her trip with Zuko is about her reckoning with that dark side. The focus is different than with the trip Zuko takes with the other members of Team Avatar. With Sokka, the focus is purely practical, while with Aang, the focus is on both repairing the relationship between those two and helping Aang overcome his fear of firebending that he has carried with him since he heard Katara back in Season 1. True, Zuko's intention here is to repair his relationship with Katara, but that's not the main focus, and he doesn't try to impose himself on her will. It's less about what he does than what he doesn't do. He doesn't demean her, he doesn't discourage her, he doesn't get in her way. Though he's shocked when he sees her using bloodbending on the person she believes killed her mother, he doesn't say anything. He knows that wouldn't do her any good. The focus is on her, where it should be. He's learned from Iroh. Even though Iroh guided Zuko as best he could, he still understood that Zuko needed to find his own way. Zuko knows how similar Katara is to him. Though he does not expect her to kill this man, he would not object if she did. He would accept it as her decision to make. Think back to Zuko confronting his father back in episode 311. Why does he do this? He doesn't really need to, practically speaking, and he's not planning to kill him. Strategically, it's not a brilliant move by any means. But he needs this in order to come to terms with his past. He is not just confronting his father, but also the old version of himself that constantly chased his father's approval and did whatever his father wanted. Katara is in a similar situation. Once she proves to herself that she can kill him, both that she's physically able to, and that the objections of the other members of Team Avatar, who, despite what they say, don't really understand what she's going through, that all of this cannot stop her from going on this journey. Now that this is over, she has to decide whether she actually wants to kill him. And the answer to that question is no. When they arrive back at camp, it is sunset. symbolizing how Katara's closed the book on that stage of her life, its ending. Katara does not just forgive Zuko because he gives her the information she needed. If she had really wanted to, she could have found that information out herself. They are traveling through the Fire Nation after all, and Katara is quite clever. She forgives him because he gives her the opportunity to think about who she wants to be. Outside of what the expectations and burdens she's been forced to take on want her to be. Zuko understands this because this is his story too. Just as he knows that one can only find closure for oneself by oneself, he also understands that a little bit of unjudgmental help never hurt anyone. So thank you all for watching. If you liked what you saw today, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Donate to my Patreon if you can and you want to see more videos like this. Keep watching Avatar. It's a beautiful and sumptuous show, and it's easier to watch than ever now it's on Netflix. Go rewatch it. It's really good. I love the Southern Raiders and the entire story with Zuko and Katara in general. It's always honest and it's never cheap. It's easily one of the best parts of the show. Anyway, tune in soon for my next analysis. It will be coming soon. Thank you all again. Adios, comrades.